dirty work. James is a shiny red engine. He always likes to look his best. And he likes his friends to know he's the smartest engine on Sodor. Emily, Percy, and Thomas were at Tidmouth Sheds. James arrived. He'd been to the repair yard. He was excited to get back to work. "I hope I get an important job today," wished James. Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "I need an engine for a special," boomed Sir Topham Hatt. "The mayor must be taken to the Festival of Lights at the Scottish Castle." "I'm the perfect engine for that job, sir," James whistled. "Very well, James," said Sir Topham Hatt. James was delighted. "Thomas, Emily, and Percy," added Sir Topham Hatt. "If you finish your jobs in time, you can all go to the festival too." "I can't wait to see the festival," peeped Percy. "Neither can I," wished Emily. "You'll be the star of the show, James," tooted Thomas. That made James very happy. He couldn't wait to make a grand entrance. "We have lots of jobs to do first," peeped Percy. "You don't have anything to do all day, James," wished Emily. "Can you help us?" "Me?" snorted James. "I can't help. It's much more important for me to look really smart when I arrive with my important passenger." And James puffed proudly away to the washdown. At the washdown, James was very happy. He enjoyed having his boiler brushed and his cab cleaned. Percy stopped by on his way to the quarry. "I still have lots of work to do," he puffed. "Can you help me, James?" "Sorry, Percy," sniffed James. "It's much more important that I look smart. Now I need to be polished." Soon, James was being polished until he shone. "Don't forget to buff my buffers," he tooted happily. Thomas puffed up with a long line of coal cars. "Cling, clang, cling, clang," they giggled. "Those trucks look troublesome," laughed James. "They are," tooted Thomas. "Can you help me, James?" "Sorry, Thomas," cried James. "I need to look smart for my passengers. Now I have to get my funnel swept." As his funnel was being swept, James smelt a fishy smell. "Bust my buffers," he cried. "What's that?" It was Emily. She was pulling wagons of fish very slowly. "These are very heavy. Can you help me, James?" she puffed. "Sorry. I need to have some special flags fitted," sniffed James. At last, James was ready. His flags were fitted, his buffers beamed, and his paintwork shone from funnel to footplate. Everyone he passed cheered and waved. "I am the smartest engine ever," James puffed proudly. On the way to collect the mayor, James passed the Scottish Castle. It looked wonderful. Everything was ready for the festival, and Sir Topham Hatt was waiting, but there were no engines. James was surprised. "Where are Thomas and Percy and Emily?" "They haven't finished their work yet," boomed Sir Topham Hatt, "so they won't be here for the festival." James felt terrible. "I must help my friends. Otherwise, they won't be here to see me be the star of the show." James found Thomas. He was still having trouble with his coal cars. "I'm going to miss the festival," he sighed sadly. "No, you're not," puffed James, "because I'm going to help you." James buffered up, and he helped, even though he got covered in coal dust. Next, James found Percy in the quarry. Percy was struggling to pull the quarry cars. "I'm going to miss the festival," Percy sighed sadly. "No, you're not," puffed James, "because I'm going to help you." James buffered up, and he helped, even though he got covered in quarry dust. Then James found Emily at the junction. I can't pull the fish wagons any further, James. They are too heavy. I'm going to miss the festival, she sighed sadly. No, you're not, puffed James, because I'm going to help you. And James did, even though he knew he would be covered in smelly fish. At the Scottish castle, the brass band was waiting. A red carpet was ready, and so were Thomas, Percy, and Emily. They were all waiting for James to arrive with his important passenger. Here comes James, tooted Thomas. Everyone cheered as James arrived with the mayor. But James was worried. After helping his friends, he didn't look smart at all. And he certainly didn't feel like the star of the show. James, said Sir Topham Hatt, you are a very hard-working and really useful engine. James was amazed. You're not cross with me, sir? Even though my flags are drooping and I'm covered in coal dust and quarry dust and fish? What matters, James, said Sir Topham Hatt, is that you helped all your friends and safely delivered your important passenger. Well done. James was very happy, and his friends all thought that James was still the star of the show.